Entri nella stanza, sono tutti stesi, i loro cuori ti hanno visto e si sono arresi. Ti guardo nello specchio e penso, ma come fai? La mente torna indietro al nostro primo incontro, storia, letto fine come in un racconto. Ti dico che sei bella e tu scherzi, ma quando mai? Dove siamo adesso? Un nuoto nei tuoi occhi, la parte migliore di me. In volo sul mondo.
Hello and welcome to Italy. I am so excited because I am here completely alone, and the only thing on my schedule of this 3-day trip is to do a guided walking tour, which I'm just about to leave the hotel room for. I am not going to show you my room. It's very, very basic, but it does have two most important things, which is a desk, which I need for writing, and also an extremely comfortable bed. Also, it's a walking distance to the city center. It's just 10 minutes away, so it's kind of perfect. Anyway, I have to dash, so I'm not late for my walking tour. Other than the walking tour, I have nothing else planned except for just walking around the city, sitting in cafes, watching people walk by, reading a lot, and just enjoying a bit of solitude. Definitely have that because I love the idea of that in a broth.
Ah, yes. And there are the big brothers, the tortelloni, the ricotta and the parsley inside. They had to be cooked in the water, dried, and mixed with butter, sage, and a lot of Parmigiano Reggiano bacon.
absolutely killing me. I walked for so many hours today. It was the most beautiful day. The sun was shining. It was something like 9 degrees, which for January, for me, that's very warm. I am back in the hotel room now. It is 8:30 in the evening. I don't think I'll be going anywhere. I want to stay put and do some writing in my notebook. I also want to do some reading, and I am not very hungry because on the way back to the hotel, I grabbed a delicious little serving of deep fried anchovies. It was superb. I am super happy about today because I did quite a bit of sightseeing. So the tour guide that I had today, her name was Benedetta, and she was absolutely fantastic. But what was even better was that I was the only one on the tour today. How lucky is that? So I had Benedetta all to myself, and she was fantastic. But also because I had her to myself, I feel like I got so much information out of her, and I was able to ask lots of questions. We had some interesting discussions on the history of Italy as well. So yes, I am very, very happy about deciding to do the tour. And also we covered pretty much all the major attractions in Bologna. Bologna is not very big, and I deliberately, if I go away like this on my own, I pick destinations that are not super huge cities because I want to be able very easily to walk around the whole city center. Also, I don't want my destination to be too hectic. I prefer to go to smaller cities that are just much calmer, and Bologna is perfect for that because you can walk absolutely everywhere. And like I said, I was able to see most of the city center attractions in just one day, including Teatro Anatomico, which dates back to 17th century and was part of the university. It was bombed during WW2, but it has been fully restored. And again, I was very lucky because it was just me and Benedetta in the room when we were visiting. So we were able to sit down on the benches and really take the room in. Included in my tour guide ticket was also a visit to Torre del Orologio, so the clock tower, from which the view was absolutely breathtaking. You could see all of Bologna. You really do get to enjoy a 360-degree view of the city from that panoramic terrace. So apart from lots of sightseeing, I also managed to visit not one, not two, but 3 bookstores. And yes, I did get a few books, which I will tell you about in a minute. But before I'll tell you about the books that I bought today, I wanted to show you what I brought with me to read while I'm in Italy. So I've mentioned in my previous video that I have started reading Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I need to finish it because this is not my copy. This is my friend's copy and I have to return it to her. I am exactly now halfway through. By the way, my latest discovery, as I'd like to think about it, although I'm not sure if it's a discovery, but I have not seen anyone else doing it. But I've started collecting these little perfume testing little pieces of paper they give out to you when you're in perfume shops, and I use them as bookmarks, which brings me so much ridiculously immense pleasure because what happens is I read a book and I open a page, right? I usually pick up my bookmark and I just keep it close to my nose, and so I've got one extra lovely sensation there on top of reading an interesting book and stimulating my brain. I also am stimulating my sense of smell. Anyway, I have more of these. I picked up more of these, by the way. Oh, this one's nice as well. This could be also a great way of properly testing if you like a perfume, because you get to sit with it for quite a bit. Top tip, bring a pen with you to a perfume shop and just write down on that piece of paper which perfume it is, otherwise you will forget. Anyway, we were talking about intermezzo before I started digressing. So yes, I'm halfway through, and I need to say, I thought Sally Rooney and we have broken up for good, but I was completely wrong, because I am actually very much enjoying it. I'm surprised how much I have been looking forward to picking up this book and reading it. I'm not going to say any more about this book right now. I'm going to save it all for my monthly reading wrap up. The other book I brought with me, because of course I had to have an Italian flavor to my reading while in Italy, I brought with me Family Lexicon by Natalia Ginsburg. I've been meaning to read this for ages. I read this a little bit today because I took it with me, and I started reading it during a lunch that I took myself to, and I think I am going to really love it. And then, as a backup, in case I've run out of things to read, this is always my fear when I pack for travel. I probably take way too many books because I am so worried that I'm going to run out of books, or at least I'm going to run out of books that I feel like reading. It's this worst thing that could happen to me ever. So anyway, as a backup, I brought with me my e-reader, which happens to be a brand new Kobo, which I got for Christmas. And I don't know if you can see, but I downloaded on it The Light Years by Elizabeth Jane Howard, which is part of the Cazelot Chronicles. This is the first book in the series, which you very kindly recommended to me last year. And now let me show you what I bought in the bookstores today. And I need to say, I wasn't planning on buying anything because I was expecting all the books to be in Italian, but I guess I underestimated how, because this is a university city, how cosmopolitan Bologna is, and there must be lots of foreign students here, because there were quite a lot of English books to choose from. And what was brilliant about those bookstores was that in each of them you had a section within the English books that was titled Italian authors. And that was fantastic because obviously I'm in Italy, I want to discover more Italian authors, and I felt like I could trust these booksellers to select for those sections authors that maybe I have not heard about before. And one other reason why I love browsing European bookstores is that you seem to get entirely different editions of the books that you know, which look completely different in the UK. And I need to say that from my experience, most of European editions are so much better. First of all, these books tend to be much bigger, they have bigger font, somehow they open more flat. An example of this book is this one. This is The Letter Carrier by Francesca Giannone. I have never heard about this book or this author before, but it really grabbed my attention because this seems to be a historical fiction. It is set in a small village in southern Italy in 1934, and the main protagonist is this very strong-willed woman who defies expectations by taking on a male-dominated job, which is carrying letters and also wearing trousers. And so she becomes, through this job of carrying letters, this invisible thread that connects the town. I really like the sound of that. And also, I have a real weakness towards any letter writing based theme, because there's something about writing letters that just is so nostalgic but also elegant. Anyway, I looked up this title, and this title in the UK is not going to be available in paperback until July, so I did decide to buy it here in Bologna. And then another title that caught my attention was a non-fiction book titled The Unbreakable Heart of Oliva Denaro. I'm sorry, actually, this is not non-fiction. This is a fiction, but based on a true story. The writer's name is Viola Ardone. Apparently, she's an international best-selling author. I am not familiar with her. She wrote a book titled The Children's Train. Let me know if you've read it and what you thought about it. This is set in 1960s Sicily, and basically we follow a story of a young Sicilian girl who defied centuries-old tradition to win the right to control her own life. There's quite a detailed synopsis here on the front cover, but I am not going to read that. I'm just going to go straight into the book. That's how I like to approach things. Sometimes I feel like the less you know about the book, the better. What sold me on this book was the first sentence. A girl is a jug. You break her, you take her. That's what mother says. Another book I picked up is Lies and Sorcery by Elsa Moranta, in this edition by New York Review Books. I was so chuffed when I saw it, because this book has been on my TBR for quite a long time. However, I did not like the Penguins edition, because even though it's got a gorgeous cover, it is very difficult to hold because it doesn't stay flat. So I was so happy to see this version of this book in the store. This one is very difficult to get hold of in the UK. I know, because I have tried to find it, and the only copies available are through eBay, and you have to bring them from the US. So I feel like this was such a find. And look, this one opens up fairly nicely. And the final book that I picked up, that I think is just a very, very special find, is Agatha Christie's Crime on Vacation. But this is not your usual Agatha Christie, because check this out. On the left-hand side, you've got the English text, and on the right-hand side, you've got the same text but in Italian, which is perfect for me in terms of continuing to improve my Italian. I've been trying to learn Italian on Duolingo. It's going so. The reason why I think this is so special is because when I first came to England over 25 years ago, and I didn't speak much English. Once I spoke a little bit of English, and I wanted to improve writing and reading in English. Where I was working in this old pub, there were few books, but the choices were limited. So you had either your very straightforward romance, or you had Agatha Christie's books, and I basically was reading all of it, and yes, including the romance books. This is going to be so much fun to read. I can't wait. And also I managed to buy just one, which is good, notebook in one of the bookstores. It's a simple black notebook, but it has a really nice feel to the cover, and inside you've just got blank pages. It's not massive, but the paper quality, it feels like one of those more expensive books from Muji that are fountain pen friendly. And believe it or not, but this notebook was only €2.90. It's an absolute bargain for a notebook that is, I'm pretty sure, fountain pen friendly. And it came in different colors. This is the camera won't pick it up because the light is so bad at this time, but this is like this kind of graphite slash green, but there were lots of other colors. I might go back tomorrow for a couple more. In terms of tomorrow, I don't have any specific plans. I'm just going to wander around the town and take it in. It will be my last day, so I want to do lots of reading, lots of eating, lots of writing. It's basically shaping up to be a super fun and super relaxing and slightly reflective, perhaps, day for me. One of the things that I absolutely love about Italy is that everything is just beautiful. Look at this display of a men's clothing store. It's just so artistic. And believe it or not, on day 2, I ended up in a bookstore number 4, which also happened to be a bar and a cafe. What a fantastic concept. And again, inside, I'm not sure if it's just me, but all the shelves seem to be organized in such aesthetically pleasant way. It's like the books are color coded. It is all absolutely stunning, and there is some excellent lighting in this particular store especially, which is quite dimmed, and it just adds to the whole atmosphere. After all of this walking around, I decided I deserved a lunch, and so I finally tasted the very famous Tortellini in brodo, which are these tiny little pasta shapes filled with meat and served in chicken broth, and that was absolutely delicious. So delicate, but so full of flavor. plus of January travel is that everything seems to be on a sale, and I'm not talking just about hotel and flights, which tend to be very, very cheap. I promise you, I paid pennies for mine. I'm talking about everything else in shops is on sale. So I had a really lovely day, just did some browsing. I did buy a few things, mainly gifts for my family, because this is a must, okay? If your family lets you go somewhere and get away on your own, then you better bring back some gifts for them. I also got this jumper for myself, which was the very first thing I got today. I was so happy because I've been looking for a burgundy color jumper all of this winter, and I couldn't find one that I was 100% pleased with. It's a funny color, burgundy. It's suddenly come back into fashion in a really big way, and I fall in love and then fall out of love with burgundy. Anyway, now I'm in the phase of being in love with burgundy, and I wanted to have something burgundy, and so here we go. Also, it kept me really nice and cozy and warm because today's weather was a bit worse than yesterday. Anyway, what I think I'm going to do now, because it is 4:30 in the afternoon, I am going to check in for my flight, which is tomorrow morning. I am also going to maybe do a little bit of reading, and then I'm going to take myself out to dinner, my last supper in Bologna. I will probably not take any journals with me. I will probably not take any books with me either, because I want this last evening just to be super reflective with me sitting there with my thoughts, and that will make sure that when I go back home tomorrow, I will be properly rested and properly reset. I really highly recommend you trying out traveling on your own. And you might say, oh, well, I am just going to take a day for myself at home. It is also very helpful, but there's something about changing your location to give you different perspective, and also exposure to different culture really helps too with your brain kind of zooming out. It's so good for mental health, but also for me it's very good for my own creativity. And even if you think you're not doing anything creative in your life, you are doing creative things in your life, even if you're not an artist, because we all create things every single day. We all create ideas. Even cooking is a form of creation, or the way you dress, or even gardening. And first and foremost, I would say it is very good for regaining clarity in your life, which I think we sometimes lose in everyday busyness of our day-to-day activities. Now, before I go, I know you probably feel like you've just watched me eating a lot of things. Well, we're just about to eat some more, because I went to this local bakery, which was hilarious in a sense that it was very strange and cute. It was definitely where locals go and buy their bread and cookies and little cakes. And the strange thing about that bakery was that you had to tear a ticket, similar to sometimes when you go to see a doctor, for example, you tear a ticket, or if you go and apply for your passport, the Home Office, if you go there, you sometimes need to get a ticket to have your place in the queue. This was the same way. Anyway, so what I got was these Carnivale biscuits, and apparently they are very specific to this period now, which is before Easter. This is a deep fried, probably very simple because it looks very simple, a mix of flour, eggs, sugar, the usual combination. Oh, it smells amazing. And then they just pile on icing sugar on top. I can't wait to go in and try it. But before we do that, hold on, my hair is bothering me. Oh, by the way, I need to tell you about this. I got this little hairpin in London from COS, and I've been obsessed with it since I got it, because what it does, it literally slides through your hair and keeps it together while also looking very stylish. I'm going to try and show you the back. 1 second. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see. Again, probably one of those things that I think I've discovered, and they've been existing for centuries. I know this is not a new invention, but I think they've come out of fashion. And the reason why I love this one so much is because it's decorative. It's got these two little pearls attached to the top, and it just makes it look so elegant. Anyway, back to eating. So let's dive in and let's see what this baby tastes like. Wow. Yum, yum, yum. I think I will save you from making you watch me eat most of these. I would love for you to tell me whether you enjoy traveling solo, how you go about it, what that travel looks like, and also if you cannot, for whatever reason, travel, how do you make sure that you get that time to yourself to reset? Because I think sometimes these traditional roles in our social environment, I'm talking about being a mother, being a husband, being a sister, being a daughter, but especially, I guess, being a mother. I think that role gets a lot of glamour and is very much idealized. And yes, it can be worthy, and yes, it can be beautiful, but also it can be extremely exhausting because it's a role that doesn't get a break on everyday basis. You kind of go non-stop. And I'm generalizing here. Of course, there'll be all kinds of different situations depending on your own circumstances. But I think you know what I'm trying to say here. So yes, I would love to know, how do you not switch off? Because I'm talking about something a little bit different than just switching off. I'm talking about getting a real mental rest. So yes, please let me know, how do you get perspective in your life? How do you get that proper rest and that proper distance from the everyday hustle and bustle? I would love to know. Now, I think I'm going to eat a couple more of these cheeky little biscuits. Not too many, because I still want to go to dinner. But I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, I will see you next week. Bye for now.